In this video, I'm going to give a practice of extracting 9 unchanging themes from all the things that you're trying to manifest. And those 9 unchanging themes can be orientated towards altruism or service. They can be unchanging for all of your life. And then I'll link it to a simple daily practice that means that your manifestation practice will become also your spiritual practice. Because there's a tendency when people discover manifestation, it's completely normal, but to start with, it leads towards materialism and just going for thing after thing and a new phone and a new house. And that's good because we should manifest what we want. But of course, if you carry on with this practice, it becomes much deeper. It actually leads towards minimalism because you orientate your feelings from the counterparts of things inside the mind. You imagine first and then you manifest, and that makes you happy, but then over time your focus changes to the imagining, and the imagining itself is actually the act of creation, and that is the freedom. So there's lots of exercises to decide all the things that you want in life, or to look for deeper meaning and a life purpose, and you can go and find those, but I'll give you some examples as to how you'd extract themes. For example, in my life, I was isolated and agoraphobic for a long time. And when I got over myself, I began teaching. And after a while, after a few years of this, then the school I was working for was an NGO. It folded. And I was really, really down. I missed teaching the whole thing so much. And then I got a job in a cinema that lasted long up until COVID. But for years I was there and I was really, really happy also. And I thought, oh, now I like this and everything. And then COVID happened and I went off and I was by myself for a while. And what I realized is from this whole thing of being connected, because I was doing a lot of trying to manifest more teaching jobs. But what I found when I got a job in the cinema, which came with accommodation and I was living with volunteers in a house, was that what I really like is community. I like to be connected. I don't like so much like deep friendships or a relationship, but I like to be around people. Like nowadays, I've got other communities that I belong to based around public speaking and things like that. So I don't so much need to live in a public house. But what I found was I wanted community, so that's really the theme. So there's many things that could link to community, not just a job. It could be then I also link the idea that I want to be a public speaker and I want to succeed on YouTube. It's the same theme throughout community. So you take maybe something material that you want. Say you want a nice car and you haven't got one now. How would you feel if you had a car? If it was really flash and that's the one you want? I mean, is it that people would respect you? And then why would you feel? You could be asking why? So maybe it's connection, or if you were important, you could make more change in the world, or have more influence, and that's what you actually want. Maybe you're obsessing about being more attractive or looking younger, and is that just wanting to be connected again, or is it to be intimate or loved? I mean, nothing wrong with wanting to be intimate, wanting to manifest that all of your life. So as you go through these themes, you've got to think, would I be happy if this theme became a part of my energy, and even when I lose this body and I go on to the next world, I'll still keep the theme with me? So say with me with community, then yeah. I mean, there was never a time in life I wanted to be completely isolated. And going forward, even if I'm reborn on some alien planet, I like to think that there's the chance to belong to communities and make a difference wherever I am and be connected. So you have to think of the themes, okay? And then you need to be consistent the way that you recall them. So you need a memory system that's simple. Now, the one I use is by Tony Pazan, and I've been using it many, many years since I was a kid. So there are 9 numbers, and each number has an object that looks like the number, and you link it to what you're trying to remember. So, for example, the number 1 is a candle, because a candle kind of looks like a number 1, and number 2 is a swan, because when a swan's there, it can kind of look, or it can be a duck if you prefer that. They have the shape of a number 2. Number 3 is a pair of breasts, which is kind of a 3 on its side. 4 is a chair. 5 is a hat stand. 6 is a golf club. 7 is a fishing rod with the line in the water, so it makes the shape of a 7. 8 is a snowman. And 9 is a helium balloon on a string, so it's going up. So you need to make scenes now which show the goal, which show the theme manifesting. Okay, so I'll give an example of myself, the first two. Now, you're not actually going to get 6 themes. I was lying. You're only going to get 9 themes. You're going to get 6 because the first 2 and the last 1, I'm going to suggest you do the same as me because they're kind of universal. So my first theme is nirvana. Okay, awakening. Now, you might think, oh, whatever, you're not into that. But I think most people that believe in manifestation are into this. They believe that we're on a spiritual path and there's some ultimate state that we're going towards. So maybe it's not going to be that kind of Eastern way of looking at it. Maybe it's more ascension or ultimate peace. Whatever it is, I would suggest that your first goal would be, the first theme would be spiritual awakening, whatever that means to you. So for me, the picture I have in my mind is a pagoda. Because now that doesn't seem exotic because I live in Asia and I go to pagoda once a week and I've lived in a Zen temple before. And I see myself kneeling down before the abbot and there's a bell. I can hear the bell and I'm wafting incense. So I'm using my hand to waft incense. So when I use my body, I'm feeding myself into that imaginary body. That adds to the realism and I can smell the incense. I'm using my senses. And the abbot tells me that I'm realized enough to become a teacher. Okay. So therefore, that's how, because you can't really visualize awakening, but the abbot, an awakened person, is telling me I'm awake. And there's an affirmation that goes with it which says, I give thanks for my full awakening in this lifetime. May I teach and bring spiritual peace to many. So this is number 1, and I would suggest you do the same in that it's some kind of awakening. I would also suggest you copy me for number 2, because number 2 is health. Now, you want to be healthy, and if you're not healthy, that's going to become the focus of your life and you're less effective. So because that's universal, I would say do that. Personally, I've got a genetic disease which affects my muscles, so I focus on that a little bit, and it can make me look a bit older in my face, unfortunately. But so one thing I like to do is I do stand-up comedy, and I go to a club sometimes. So I imagine my friend wearing a t-shirt with a swan on it, to anchor me. This is the second one. So I'm consistently doing this the same way, and he compliments me on my appearance. Now in this club, they serve food. So I can smell the food and I hear my name being called and I jump up onto the stage. Now I actually walk a bit slowly because my leg's not that good, but I jump up. So I'm feeling the movement there and holding the mic. After that, I do also do another one where I imagine myself being massaged. Because with that way, I can feel the masseur's hands on me, and I can feel the tautness of my muscles, i.e. stronger than they are now. So I've got movement, I've got the memory image inside, and the affirmation is, I give thanks for the healing light which shines in me. Every day my muscles grow bigger, my mind grows brighter, and my body grows stronger. May I serve all living beings. So it's for being able to serve that I want to be healthy. Like if I was really sick today, I could be making this video for you, for example. But I'm focusing on what I personally need there concerning my muscles and everything. So there's kind of a personal focus. So you need to go ahead now and do another 6 because 9 is done for you. So some things are just hard to imagine. For example, being awake, being spiritually awake. The first one was a bit hard. So if it's something that's the theme that's a bit difficult to get, imagine telling a friend about something. So one of my goals is I want to start an NGO and I want to help people kick addiction, because I know a lot of homeless people. I met them during COVID and a lot of them have addiction issues. So I imagine being there in the front garden doing a 12-step meeting and helping people, and my friend comes past and asks what I'm doing, and then I can briefly explain. Okay, so you make 6 more themes like this, so then you get to 9, the last one. And the last one is going to be a goal you don't hear a lot of in manifestation, and that is death. I think that the last goal should be you dying. Now that sounds pretty bad, but there's a history of memento mori, which means remember you will die. So bearing in mind the fact that we're mortal, because most people act as though they're going to live forever. And of course, if you do that, you could just be attracting lots of material possessions. And that's why you're turning this into a spiritual practice, because you're not going to live forever. So you might as well, if you have to die anyway, you might as well manifest the death that you want. So my funeral, I see myself, first of all, as far away in the distance in a funeral. And I see myself obviously as much older than I am now, with a funeral picture at the front, much older than I am now. And of course, the person standing there, an abbot, gives a eulogy of what I attained in life. And that's a great way to feel that I actually achieved those things at the end. And then the last image is a balloon being let go in the funeral, and it rises up into the sky and disappears into the blue ozone, and there's this sense of surrender. So that is basically it. Now, what do you do once you've got these scenes set up? I would say, I mean, I base this on a practice we did when I lived in a monastery. I lived in a Zen monastery for a while, and once a week on a Sunday, we did this thing called the rules of meditation. So it was something that the Zen master Dogen had written. It was just the basic rules of what we are doing. This is how you meditate. This is how you find nirvana. And it took about 15 minutes to read it. So we would all kneel down, and the abbot would read it over a loudspeaker. It wasn't there. And that means that I could relax my posture and I could take a little break and then relax and get away with it. And we would just follow along while it was being read. And basically, it just keeps us on track. Now, I would say if you did this twice a week, just read it every 2 weeks. Now, in between that, on the full and new moons, you could write a manifestation script with the details, the actual things you're trying to manifest. Then you've got something briefly to do once a week, and that's about right. That's not so often that it's boring or irritating, but it's not so rare that you're not stating what you want, because of course the first step to manifesting something is being clear and stating what you want. So I simply read it. I actually do it at the weekend when I go into the pagoda anyway. Before I go in the pagoda and light incense, then I simply read it, enjoy, look at the sky a bit, relax, and I'm happy. So that's one way to do it. The other way you can do is what's called the salutation to the sun. So many people have a spiritual practice. They practice in the everyday. For example, Muslims pray, I think 5 times a day, facing in a certain way. So that's a bit intense. But I like the practice of Aleister Crowley, the infamous British occultist, who would make a salutation, i.e. 4 times a day, would simply use this kind of salutation of where the sun was. So it's in the morning rising, midday sunset, and then nighttime, would face the sun, do a mudra, put the hands in a certain position and state a certain verse towards a certain Egyptian deity. Now, this is going pretty far. Okay, but what I think is, first of all, when you wake up, the first thing you do, and when you go to sleep, the last thing you do, is just cycle through those pictures, put yourself in the body, and say the affirmations. It should take a minute or 2. Now, as a lifetime practice, that's going to make a difference, and then it's going to orientate you. Okay, so it can be the first thing you do and the last thing you do, with feeling, with emotion. Feel excited that these things are manifesting in you. These themes are becoming a stronger part of your life now and beyond this lifetime. Okay, the other thing is then, I think at sunset, when the sun is highest, even if you can't see it, at midday, you could just be sitting on a bus somewhere that time. Just cycle through once with feeling and say the verses, and then when the sun goes down. So this is making you more mindful, because you need to remember to watch your mind, to remember, not forget to do it. And of course, it's burning the intentions deeper down. Just do the 4. And this way, the themes are becoming a much deeper part of your life. And one way I think of this practice, I think of the way things were explained by the Buddhist teacher Gil Fronsdal once, that you imagine 2 lines going out from your shoulders to the edge of the universe, and they're straight lines next to each other. At the edge of the universe, they're still the same distance apart. Now, if you change one of the lines just a little bit, you nudge it 1 millimeter to the right next to your shoulder. So now they're not in a straight line, they're slightly radiating outwards. Now, by the time that gets to the edge of the solar system, that'll be thousands of kilometers apart. By the time it gets to the edge of the universe, it will be billions of galaxies apart. And the thing is, with a precious human life, for each little difference that you make, it's got implications beyond our lives. And I really believe that. I'm certain that that's true. So making these themes, so your manifestation isn't just, I want this, no, I want this, and it's just like I said, a kid in a sweet shop. You're getting deeper themes, and each theme in some way can be about giving or service or awakening. And then your practice is to make those themes such a deep part of who you are with intention. You intend these themes to be a part of you now and to carry on being a part of you for all of your life and beyond this life. Then manifestation is a spiritual practice. You can still be manifesting all the details that you want in life. And as it carries on, if you do well, it will go from materialism to minimalism, because your happiness is on the inside. Like all the things that you manifest, you see it in your mind first, and you see it with your eyes, but it's still in your mind. You can't get out of your mind. That's why manifestation is, in fact, minimalism. There's nothing out there. And you'll see that as you carry on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. If you subscribe, that would be great. It's even better if you comment, because it helps me with the algorithm. Look in the comments for a link to my website and any extras. There's an associated article with this with a bit more detail. And let me know what you think. But most of all, consider it and think for yourself, because I'm not always right. I'm always Jay.